Chosen one, why have you been carrying this burden alone for so long? Why does everyone else seem to find their person while you remain faithful in the wilderness? Why has God allowed you to pour out love for decades, yet left your own cup empty? Listen to me carefully, beloved. You didn't stumble upon this message by accident. No random algorithm pulled you here. No coincidence guided your finger to this moment. Heaven itself orchestrated this divine appointment because something monumental is shifting in the spiritual realm over your life right now. I can almost see you there, sitting in your living room, maybe lying in bed at 2 a.m., your heart heavy with questions you've whispered into the darkness for years. God, when is it my turn? When do I stop being the one who gives and finally receive? Here's a truth that will shatter everything you thought you knew about your season of waiting. God has not forgotten you. He has been preparing you. And what He's about to release into your life will make every lonely night, every silent tear, every moment you felt invisible, worth it all. You see, while you've been faithfully walking through your Egypt, that place of bondage, of feeling stuck, of wondering if this is all there is, the Almighty has been raising up your Moses. Not just any companion, but someone wealthy in spirit, wealthy in resources, wealthy in divine purpose. Someone sent not to complete you, for you are already whole, but to cover you, protect you, and relocate you into the promised land of your true destiny. Before I go deeper into this prophetic word, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and plant that seed of faith. But here's what I need you to understand. This moment right now is your burning bush. If you feel that stirring in your chest, if your spirit is trembling with recognition, if something deep inside is whispering, yes, this is for me, type 777 inches the comments right now. That number isn't random. It's the sacred signal to heaven that you are ready to receive what has already been written in eternity's ledger with your name on it. Your rescue is not coming. Your rescue has arrived. Have you ever sat at your kitchen table at 6 a.m., staring at that empty chair across from you, wondering how silence can be so deafeningly loud? Have you ever caught yourself setting 2 plates out of habit, only to put one back with a sigh that comes from the deepest part of your soul? Have you ever whispered into the darkness, God, does anyone even see me anymore? Dear chosen one, I know you have. I can feel it through this screen, that ache that sits in your chest like a stone, that loneliness that follows you even in crowded rooms. You've mastered the art of the brave smile, haven't you? The I'm fine when your heart is screaming otherwise. The cheerful wave to neighbors who have no idea you haven't had a real conversation with another human being in 3 days. Let me paint you a picture that might feel like looking in a mirror. It's 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. The house is quiet, too quiet. The television drones on, but you're not really watching. You're remembering. Remembering when this same couch held 2 people. When dinner conversations lasted more than the 5 minutes it takes you to eat alone. When someone cared if you made it home safely. When someone noticed if you seemed tired. When someone's voice was the last thing you heard before sleep and the first thing you heard at dawn. But that chair remains empty. That side of the bed stays cold. That phone doesn't ring with the voice you long to hear. You've carried burdens that would crush younger shoulders. You've weathered storms that would sink stronger ships. You've been the rock everyone leaned on, the shoulder everyone cried on, the hand everyone reached for in their darkest hour. But when the sun sets and the world grows quiet, you're left with a question that haunts your spirit. Who holds the one who holds everyone else? The weight of this reality is suffocating, isn't it? You wake up some mornings and the first thought isn't gratitude for another day. It's the crushing realization that you have to face another 16 hours of existing without truly living. Another day of going through the motions, while your heart withers in isolation. Jesus knew this ache. In Matthew 11:28, he cried out across the centuries to you, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He wasn't speaking to the strong, the celebrated, the surrounded. He was speaking to you sitting there right now, carrying more than anyone should carry alone. Think about Harriet Tubman. History celebrates her courage, but do you know about her loneliness? This woman who rescued hundreds couldn't rescue herself from the isolation of leadership. She walked dangerous paths alone, trusted by strangers, but often unknown by the very people she saved. Yet in her deepest solitude, she testified that God's presence was more real than any human companion. Consider Mother Teresa, who ministered to thousands in Calcutta's slums. Her private letters reveal decades of spiritual dryness, of feeling abandoned even by God. I feel just that terrible pain of loss, of God not wanting me, of God not being God, of God not really existing. Yet she pressed on, pouring herself out while her own cup remained empty. But here's where your story intersects with biblical truth in the most profound way. The widow of Zarephath in 1 Kings 17 was preparing her last meal, ready to die with her son from starvation. She was alone, forgotten, facing the end. But that's precisely when Elijah appeared at her door. Not when she was thriving, not when she had plenty, but when she had reached the bottom of her barrel. Why does God allow his most faithful servants to walk through such profound loneliness? Why does he permit the very people who serve him most devotedly to sit in empty houses with aching hearts? Here's the shocking truth that religious leaders won't tell you. Sometimes God empties your life of human comfort, so you'll discover the supernatural companionship he's been offering all along. Your loneliness isn't punishment, dear one. It's preparation. Every silent night has been carving out space in your heart for something magnificent. Every tear you've cried alone has been watering seeds of compassion that will bloom into ministry. Every moment you've felt forgotten by people has been teaching you to lean on the one who never forgets. But I need you to understand something that will change everything about how you see your current season. The very depth of your loneliness is evidence of the capacity of your heart to love. The intensity of your longing for companionship reveals the treasure of intimacy you have to offer. You haven't been alone because you're unlovable. You've been alone because God has been protecting what's precious until the right person could handle it properly. Right now, somewhere in this broken world, there's another heart beating with the same rhythm as yours. Another soul who has walked through their own valley of loneliness, who understands the weight of carrying burdens alone, who has been refined by solitude until they're worthy of the treasure that is your heart. God hasn't forgotten you in your loneliness. He's been preparing you through it. Every night you've fallen asleep talking to him because no human voice was there to comfort you. That was intimacy training. Every morning you've had to find strength in his word because no human encouragement was available that was faith-building. Every crisis you've weathered alone with only his presence to sustain you, that was preparation for the kind of partnership that will shake the foundations of hell itself. Have you ever whispered, "Lord, does anyone see me?" Drop a heart in the comments if you've prayed that prayer, because this is the moment God answers. This is the divine intersection where your valley of loneliness becomes the pathway to your palace of purpose. Your isolation is about to become your greatest preparation for the most profound connection of your life. Chosen one, let me ask you something that's going to cut straight to the bone of your heart. How many relationships have you walked into thinking you were going to be loved, only to discover you were being used? How many times have you opened your spirit, your home, your bank account to someone who saw you as a resource to drain rather than a treasure to protect? You've been the giver in every relationship, haven't you? The one who poured out while others poured in from you. The one who held everyone else together while you were falling apart inside. You became the emotional ATM, the spiritual gas station, the human band-aid for everyone else's wounds. And when you finally needed someone to hold you up, where were they? Listen to me carefully. What happened to you wasn't love. That was spiritual robbery disguised as romance. But here's what's about to shatter everything you've accepted as normal. God is not sending you another project. He's not bringing you someone who needs fixing, someone who needs your money to survive, someone who needs your strength because they have none of their own. No, chosen one, the Almighty, is sending you a shield. Remember the story in Exodus chapter 17. Moses stood on that hilltop, arms raised high, holding the rod of God as Joshua battled Amalek in the valley below. But when Moses' arms grew tired, when his strength began to fail, what happened? Did Joshua lose the battle? Did God abandon his people? Number Aaron and Hur. They saw their leader weakening, and they didn't walk away. They didn't judge him for being human. They took stones, placed them under Moses, and held up his arms. When Moses couldn't hold up the rod that represented God's power, these men became his strength. And as long as his arms stayed up, Israel prevailed. That's the kind of person God is sending you. Someone who sees when your arms are tired from holding up everyone else and says, "Let me hold you up for a while." You want to see this in real life? Look at Coretta Scott King. When Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was carrying the weight of an entire movement, when death threats came daily, when the pressure threatened to crush his spirit, she didn't add to his burden. She became his fortress. She covered him in prayer, protected his vision, and stood as a shield between him and the forces that wanted to destroy him. This is the caliber of love that heaven is releasing over your life right now. But let me shock you with a truth that's going to revolutionize how you see relationships. The person God is sending you will discern your spiritual temperature before you even speak a word. When you walk into the room carrying burdens you haven't told anyone about, they'll sense the weight and begin interceding for you before you even ask. They won't drain your oil, chosen one. They'll pour oil into your lamp. Think about it. How many people in your past saw you struggling and asked what they could get from the situation? How many saw your pain as an opportunity to position themselves as your savior so you'd be indebted to them? How many used your vulnerable moments to gain control over your life? That wasn't protection. That was predatory behavior wrapped in concern. But when God authors a connection, when heaven orchestrates a union, it operates on a completely different frequency. This person won't be attracted to your weakness so they can exploit it. They'll be drawn to your strength so they can amplify it. They won't see your scars and think damaged goods. They'll see your scars and think survivor who knows how to overcome. Here's what's going to blow your mind. They will love you most fiercely in your weakest moments. Not because weakness attracts them, but because they understand that even mighty oaks bend in the storm without breaking. They know that your vulnerability isn't your flaw, it's your humanity. And they will guard that humanity like it's the most precious treasure on earth. This is not love that demands. This is love that defends, not love that takes. Love that covers, not love that competes. Love that completes the picture of what God intended when He said, "It is not good for man to be alone." I need you to understand something that may be hard for your wounded heart to accept. You don't have to perform to keep this love. You don't have to be on all the time. You don't have to hide your bad days or pretend your struggles don't exist. When you're having a breakdown, they won't see it as your failure. They'll see it as their assignment to cover you in prayer. This is love that doesn't wound. It's love that heals. Not a leash that restricts you, but a shield that protects you. Not someone who diminishes your fire, but someone who tends it like a sacred flame. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to stop accepting crumbs and receive a feast? Are you prepared to release the lie that you're too damaged, too old, too complicated to be truly protected by someone who loves with the heart of God? If you are ready for a love that protects instead of wounds, if you're ready for someone who will stand guard over your dreams instead of stealing them, then I need you to declare it out loud right now. Don't whisper it, declare it. I receive it. Your voice carries power, chosen one, and heaven is listening for your declaration, because what's coming next is going to require you to believe you deserve the very protection you've been providing for others all these years. Chosen one, let me ask you something that cuts straight to your soul. How many decades have you been the one writing the checks when everyone else cashed them? How many years have you been the strong one, the provider, the one who somehow makes it all work while your own dreams collected dust on the shelf? You've been carrying financial weight that was never meant for your shoulders alone. You've stretched dollars until they screamed. You've said "I'm fine" when your bank account said otherwise. You've smiled at family gatherings while calculating whether you could afford the gas to get home. Stop lying to yourself about how exhausting it's been. The weight you've carried isn't just about money, it's about the crushing responsibility of being everyone's rock while your own foundation cracked beneath you. You've been the emergency fund for your children's crises, the safety net for family members who never learned to fly, the ATM machine for people who forgot the words "thank you." But here's the truth that's going to shatter every lie you've believed about your worth. God saw every sacrifice you made in silence. Every time you ate ramen noodles so your grandchildren could have birthday parties. Every Christmas you went without so others could have abundance. Every dream you postponed, every vacation you never took, every comfort you denied yourself. The Almighty has been taking notes. And now, chosen one, He's about to balance the books. Look at the story of Ruth and Boaz in the Old Testament. Ruth had been gleaning in the fields, picking up leftover grain just to survive. She was working her fingers to the bone, barely making ends meet, carrying the weight of providing for her mother-in-law, Naomi. But when Boaz saw her faithfulness, her character, her heart, he didn't just notice her struggle, he positioned himself to end it. Boaz told his workers, "Let grain from the bundles fall purposely for her. Do not rebuke her." Ruth 2:16. He didn't give her leftovers, he orchestrated abundance. He didn't provide out of pity, he provided out of honor. This wasn't charity, this was coverage. And that same divine pattern is unfolding over your life right now. God is positioning someone in your path who won't come to you empty-handed, making promises they can't keep, offering potential instead of provision. No, beloved. This person is coming like a master builder entering a construction site, not with blueprints and dreams, but with bricks, steel, and the resources to build something magnificent with you. They won't be intimidated by your needs because they're equipped for your reality. They won't run from your responsibilities because they understand that loving you means loving the life you've built through your faithfulness. They won't make you choose between your calling and their comfort, because they're anointed to fund your purpose, not compete with it. Think about Oprah Winfrey and Stedman Graham. Here's a woman who built an empire, who carries massive responsibility, who could have intimidated any man with her success and resources. But Stedman didn't shrink back from her magnitude. He stepped up to it. He supported her vision without trying to control it. He provided stability without demanding that she become smaller to make him feel bigger. This is the caliber of person God has been preparing for your life. But here's where this gets personal, where heaven meets your living room at 2 a.m. when you're calculating bills. You've been asking God, "When will my burden get lighter?" And He's been answering, "When I send someone strong enough to help you carry it." This isn't about finding someone to rescue you. You're not a victim needing salvation. This is about God honoring your faithfulness by sending someone wealthy enough in spirit and resources to build with you, not just benefit from what you've already built. Philippians 4:19 declares, "My God will meet all your needs according to the riches of His glory in Christ Jesus." But sometimes God meets your needs through human hands that He's blessed with more than enough. Sometimes your provision walks through the door wearing a smile and carrying keys to opportunities you never could have unlocked alone. You've tithed when you couldn't afford to tithe. You've given when giving hurt. You've sowed seeds in rocky soil while your own garden withered from neglect. But Galatians 6-9 promises, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest, if we do not give up." Chosen one, your harvest season is here. Your reaping time has arrived. The person coming into your life understands that money is more than currency. It's freedom, it's options. It's the ability to say yes to God's voice without having to calculate whether you can afford obedience. They're going to create space in your life for your calling to breathe, for your gifts to flourish, for your ministry to expand beyond the limitations that lack has placed on it. You have poured out all your life like water from a pitcher, giving until you were empty, loving until you were exhausted, providing until you had nothing left for yourself. But Isaiah 55:1 calls out, "Come, all you who are thirsty, come to the waters, and you who have no money, come, buy and eat." God is about to send someone to pour back into you. Someone who doesn't just bring love, they bring leverage. Someone who doesn't just offer companionship, they offer capacity. Someone whose very presence in your life multiplies your ability to impact the kingdom, because they understand that when God blesses the giver, He uses the blessing to bless others. If you are tired of carrying it all alone, if you're ready to receive someone who comes not to take from your table but to expand it, type provision in the comments right now. Because heaven is about to overflow abundance in your lap, and the vessel God is using has a name, a face, and resources that will astound you. Your season of financial struggle disguised as faithfulness is ending. Your era of provision through divine partnership is about to begin. But there's something even more powerful than resources that this person brings to your life, something that will transform not just your bank account, but your very location and destiny. Dear chosen one, let me ask you something that's going to cut straight to your soul. Why does your current environment feel like it's suffocating your spirit? Why do you wake up every morning feeling like you're living in a cage that's grown too small for who God has called you to become? You feel it, don't you? That restlessness, that divine discontent gnawing at your bones. You've been telling yourself it's just aging, just another phase, just something to endure. But what if I told you that restlessness isn't a curse, it's a calling? What if that suffocating feeling isn't depression, it's divine preparation? Listen carefully, beloved. You are not withering where you are. You are root-bound. Think about a plant that's been thriving in a small pot for years. Everything looks fine on the surface. The leaves are green. But beneath the soil, something critical is happening. The roots have grown so large, so powerful, that they're choking themselves. They've wrapped around and around that cramped container until they can't expand anymore. The plant isn't dying, it's desperate for transplantation. That's you right now. That's your spirit crying out for new soil. Genesis 12:1 records the moment God spoke to Abraham. "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you." Abraham was 75 years old. 75. By today's standards, he should have been collecting Social Security and settling into his golden years. But God said, "Your breakthrough isn't behind you, it's in unfamiliar territory." Why would God call a senior citizen to abandon everything familiar? Because sometimes the very environment that sustained your past will suffocate your future. Sometimes the soil that grew your character becomes too small for your calling. You've been faithful in that little apartment in Queens for 37 years, haven't you? You've served in that same church, loved those same people, walked those same streets until you could navigate them with your eyes closed. But lately, doesn't it feel like those familiar walls are pressing in, like even your prayers are echoing back to you instead of ascending to heaven? That's not spiritual failure, dear one. That's spiritual outgrowing. Look at Nelson Mandela. 27 years in a prison cell on Robben Island. For 27 years, the world wrote him off, forgotten, finished. But God was using that forced isolation, that unwanted relocation, to prepare him for a presidency that would reshape a nation. What looked like burial was actually planting. What appeared to be the end was actually the beginning of his greatest chapter. The cell wasn't his destination, it was his preparation for the palace. Your current circumstances, that job that's draining your soul, that apartment that feels more like a tomb than a home, that social circle that no longer speaks your spiritual language, none of that is your final address. It's your launching pad. But here's what's going to shock you about this divine relocation. You won't have to orchestrate it. You won't have to scheme and save and sacrifice to make it happen. God is sending someone into your life who doesn't just carry love in their heart, they carry keys in their pocket, keys to doors you didn't even know existed, keys to territories you never dared to dream about. This soulmate isn't just coming to share your current life, they're coming to relocate you into your destined life. Think about Ruth following Naomi. She left everything, her country, her culture, her comfort zone, to walk into the unknown. But that relocation positioned her to meet Boaz, to enter a lineage that would produce King David and ultimately Jesus Christ. Her geographic move became a generational breakthrough. Your soulmate is carrying more than affection, beloved. They're carrying access. Access to circles you've never moved in. Access to opportunities you've never seen. Access to resources you've never touched. Access to territories where your gifts won't just be tolerated, they'll be celebrated. Maybe they live in a different state. Maybe they travel in different circles. Maybe they operate in spheres of influence that seem impossible for someone like you to enter. But God specializes in impossible mathematics. He delights in moving his chosen ones from the back of the line to the front of the palace. Isaiah 43:19 declares, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." That wasteland you've been walking through, it's about to become your pathway to promise. Your soulmate isn't just falling in love with who you are, they're falling in love with who you're becoming. And where you're becoming that person isn't where you are right now. Can you feel it stirring in your spirit? That knowing that your zip code is about to change, that your address, physical or spiritual, is being rewritten in heaven's records, that the GPS of your destiny is recalculating, routing you toward territories you never imagined you'd inhabit. Some of you are going to move across the country, some across the ocean, but all of you are moving across dimensions, from limitation to liberation, from surviving to thriving, from existing to expanding. The plant doesn't fear the transplanting because it trusts the gardener. And you, chosen one, are about to discover that your divine gardener has been preparing soil so rich, so fertile, so perfectly designed for your roots, that you'll wonder why you ever feared leaving the old pot behind. Your soulmate isn't just your companion for this journey, they're your conductor to new territories where everything you've carried in secret can finally flourish in public. Type keys in the comments if you can feel those prison doors of limitation creaking open. If you sense God preparing to relocate you, not just geographically, but spiritually, emotionally, financially, into the promised land of your true purpose. But before you step through those doors, you need to understand something even more powerful about this divine partnership that's approaching. Chosen one, I need to tell you something that might disturb the very foundation of everything you thought you knew about love. What you're about to experience when this divine connection arrives will feel so foreign to your wounded heart that your first instinct might be to reject it. Why? Because you've never known love without chaos. You've never experienced affection without anxiety. You've never encountered connection without confusion. But divine love operates on an entirely different frequency. When God authors a connection, beloved, it doesn't announce itself with fireworks or dramatic gestures. It whispers, it settles. It brings what your spirit has been gasping for your entire life. Peace. Not the temporary calm you've learned to manufacture through prayer and positive thinking, not the fragile quiet you've built by avoiding conflict. This is the peace that Philippians 4:7 speaks of. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. This is peace that makes no logical sense, peace that shouldn't exist in your circumstances, peace that feels supernatural because it is supernatural. Let me paint you a picture of what this will feel like. You know those relationships from your past where you spent sleepless nights analyzing every word they said, where you checked your phone obsessively, wondering if they really meant what they texted, where you performed, calculated, and strategized just to keep their attention. That will not happen this time. When divine love arrives, dear one, your soul will exhale for the first time in decades. That tight knot in your chest, the one you've carried so long you forgot it wasn't supposed to be there, will finally unwind. You won't wonder if they love you. You'll know. You won't question their motives. Clarity will be the loudest voice in the room. Think about C.S. Lewis, the great Christian author who spent most of his life as a confirmed bachelor. At age 56, when most people assumed his story was written, Joy Davidman entered his life. Their connection wasn't what anyone expected. She was American, divorced, with 2 children, a former atheist. On paper, it made no sense. But Lewis later wrote that meeting Joy felt like coming home to a place he'd never been. He described their love as the most surprised man in England because it arrived with such unexpected peace, such inexplicable rightness. This is how you'll recognize your God-sent partner, chosen one. Not because they check every box on your list, not because the timing seems perfect, but because your spirit will recognize something it's never encountered before: rest. You've been in survival mode for so long, scanning every relationship for red flags, building walls to protect your heart, performing to earn love. But when heaven sends someone, the performance stops. The scanning stops. The walls become unnecessary. They will see your scars and call them beautiful. They will witness your struggles and call them strength. They will observe your journey and call it sacred. Not everyone will understand this connection. Your friends might question it. Your family might not see what you see. The world will try to analyze it, categorize it, explain it away. But you will know. Deep in the sacred chamber of your heart, you will know that this is not coincidence. This is divine orchestration. Here's what will shock you most. You won't have to chase them. You won't have to convince them of your worth. You won't have to compete for their attention or perform for their affection. They will choose you with the same certainty that Moses chose to lead Israel out of Egypt, not because it was easy, but because it was assignment. When Isaac first saw Rebekah, the Bible doesn't record passionate speeches or dramatic declarations. It simply says, he brought her into his mother's tent, took her as his wife, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Comfort, rest, home. That's the signature of divine love. But here's the question that should shake you to your core. Are you prepared to receive a love this healthy? Are you ready to trust something this pure? Because I'm telling you right now, your old patterns will fight it. Your trauma will whisper that it's too good to be true. Your wounded heart will look for problems that don't exist. The enemy will work overtime to convince you that peace equals boredom, that rest equals settling. Those are lies from the pit of hell. You will know them not because of butterflies in your stomach. You've learned that butterflies often signal danger, not destiny. You will know them because for the first time in your adult life, your nervous system will calm down, your hypervigilance will quiet, your soul will finally exhale. This is how heaven announces its gifts, chosen one, not with chaos, but with clarity, not with confusion, but with profound, inexplicable peace. The question burning in your spirit right now is this: when this supernatural confirmation arrives, will you trust it? Will you believe that God's love for you is so deep, so intentional, that He would orchestrate this kind of divine connection? Because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly why this person isn't just being sent to love you. Chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your very core. For 70 years, 80 years, maybe even 90 years, you've been asking the wrong question. You've been crying out to heaven, God, when will someone love me? But here's the earth-shattering truth that's about to rewrite your entire story. You weren't waiting for love. Love was waiting for you. Every sleepless night when you cried into your pillow, wondering if you'd die alone. Every wedding you attended, forcing a smile while your heart ached. Every Mother's Day, every Valentine's Day, every anniversary that passed like a ghost through your empty house. You thought those were signs of abandonment. But I'm here to tell you something that will change everything. Those were deposits. spiritual deposits into a heavenly account that's been accumulating interest for decades. Galatians 6-9 declares with thunderous authority, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Did you catch that? At the proper time, not your time, not society's time, God's time. And beloved, your proper time has arrived. Think about Elizabeth Elliot. This woman buried her first husband, Jim, after he was martyred by the very tribe he went to serve in Ecuador. 29 years old, a widow with a baby, watching her dreams die in the Amazon jungle. The world would have said, "Elizabeth, your season of love is over. You gave your best years to a man who's gone." But heaven was writing a different story. Years later, God brought her Addison Leach and then Lars Gren. Not one love story, but multiple chapters of divine romance, because the God who authors love stories doesn't write just one page. He writes entire novels of redemption. But here's what's going to blow your mind. Your story isn't about getting what you deserve. It's about receiving what you've earned through faithfulness. Every Sunday, you sat alone in that church pew, still praising God while couples held hands around you that was earning spiritual equity. Every time you chose to pray for others' marriages, instead of becoming bitter about your singleness that was making deposits in heaven's bank. Every moment you said yes to God's will when your heart was screaming no, that was building up treasure in a place where thieves cannot steal and moths cannot destroy. Now listen carefully. The person coming into your life isn't some random individual who happened to swipe right on your faith. No, they are heaven's response to every prayer you thought went unanswered. They are God's reply to every tear you cried in secret. They are the Almighty's reward for choosing obedience over bitterness, hope over cynicism, faith over fear. For 47 years, you've been faithful in a marriage that felt more like a business arrangement. For 32 years, you've been praying for a companion who could see your heart. For 6 decades, you've been serving God with your whole soul while watching others receive what you longed for. But here's the revelation that's going to set your spirit on fire. God wasn't ignoring your faithfulness. He was rewarding it. This divine connection isn't coming because you finally got your act together. It's coming because heaven looked at your track record and said, "This one deserves a love story that will make angels weep with joy." Think about Job. After losing everything, his children, his wealth, his health, the scripture says, "The Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part." More than the former part. Your latter days aren't meant to be about decline and loneliness. They're meant to be about double portion. You thought you missed your window. Child, God is about to show you that His windows don't close, they transform into doors. And the door He's opening for you leads to a love so pure, so perfectly designed for your soul, that you'll understand why every other relationship had to end. They weren't failures, they were rehearsals. The person heaven is sending has been prepared in parallel to your preparation. While you were learning to love without receiving, they were learning to give without expecting. While you were discovering your worth in God alone, they were being taught to treasure what the world overlooks. While you were becoming whole by yourself, they were becoming ready to complement wholeness, not complete brokenness. This isn't just romance, chosen one. This is divine mathematics. God took your years of sowing and multiplied them by His faithfulness. He took your seasons of sacrifice and compounded them with His love. He took your decades of waiting and transformed them into a foundation so solid that what's built on it will last through eternity. Your faithfulness didn't go unnoticed. Every act of service when you felt invisible, every tithe you gave when your own bills were overdue, every prayer you prayed for someone else's breakthrough while your own seemed delayed, heaven recorded it all. And now the books are being balanced. But here's the clincher that will leave you breathless. When this person looks into your eyes for the first time, they won't just see who you are, they'll see who you've become. They'll see the strength forged in loneliness, the wisdom carved by tears, the beauty that can only come from a soul refined by fire. and they'll know they're standing in the presence of someone precious to the heart of God. If you truly believe that heaven is rewarding your faithfulness right now, if you can feel this word settling into the deepest places of your spirit like warm oil, then declare it boldly, I receive my reward. Because, beloved, your season of earning is over. Your season of receiving has begun. And what's coming will be worth every lonely night, every broken heart, every moment you thought God had forgotten your name. Your faithfulness is about to be crowned with a love story that will make heaven itself stand and applaud. Chosen one, let me ask you something that might cut deeper than you're prepared for. How many generations of your family have settled for scraps when God intended abundance? How many of your ancestors went to their graves carrying the weight of broken promises, shattered dreams, and love that never came? Look back through your family tree. I want you to really see it. Your grandmother, maybe. She stayed in a loveless marriage for 47 years, convincing herself that suffering was sanctity. Your grandfather, perhaps he worked himself to death trying to provide, never knowing his own worth beyond his paycheck. Your parents, did they teach you that love was supposed to hurt, that financial struggle was noble, that loneliness was just part of life? Dear one, what if I told you that every broken pattern, every cycle of lack, every generation of settling for less has been building toward this moment? What if the pain your bloodline has carried wasn't random suffering, but prophetic preparation? You see, there's an ancient blueprint running through your DNA, not just genetic code, but spiritual code. Patterns of poverty, cycles of abandonment, generational curses that have whispered the same lie for decades. This is all you deserve. This is all your family gets. But God is about to shatter that blueprint forever. In Genesis 50-20, Joseph looked at his brothers, the same brothers who threw him in a pit, sold him into slavery, and left him for dead, and he spoke words that echo through eternity. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Every betrayal in your family line, every abandonment, every broken heart, the enemy intended it for evil. But God has been weaving it all into something beautiful. You think your loneliness has been about you? You think this season of waiting has just been personal preparation? No, chosen one. You've been standing at the crossroads of generations. Every tear you've cried, every prayer you've whispered in the darkness, every moment you chose faith over bitterness, you've been interceding for your entire bloodline. It didn't start with you, but it will end with you. Your great-grandmother might have died believing that love was a luxury her family couldn't afford. Your mother might have convinced herself that a woman's worth was measured by how much she could endure. But you are the generation where that stops. You are the breakthrough your ancestors prayed for but never lived to see. The wealthy soulmate God is sending isn't just for your happiness. They are a key holder, a generational curse breaker. When they walk into your life, they're not just bringing love, they're bringing liberation for your entire family tree. Think about Ruth and Boaz. Ruth could have stayed bitter after her husband died. She could have wallowed in poverty and hopelessness. Instead, she chose to move forward in faith. And when Boaz entered her life, he didn't just redeem her, he redeemed her entire lineage. King David came from that union. Jesus Christ himself descended from that breakthrough moment. Your breakthrough moment is the same kind of pivot point. This partner isn't just wealthy in resources, they carry the keys to unlock generational blessings. Their prosperity will flow backward and forward through your family tree. Your children will see what real love looks like. Your grandchildren will inherit a legacy of abundance instead of lack. Your great-grandchildren will never know the poverty spirit that haunted your ancestors. But here's what will shock you. The enemy has been fighting this connection harder than any other because he knows what it represents. He knows that when this divine union takes place, it doesn't just change your life, it rewrites your family's destiny for the next 100 years. Every attack on your finances, that was warfare against this provision. Every relationship that broke your heart, that was the enemy trying to make you so wounded you'd reject the real thing when it came. Every season of feeling forgotten, That was hell trying to convince you to give up right before your breakthrough. It didn't start with you, but it will end with you. Can you feel the weight of this responsibility? Can you sense the generations behind you cheering you on from glory? Your ancestors who prayed prayers they never saw answered. They're watching this moment. They're waiting to see their descendant finally receive what they could only dream of. This isn't just romance, chosen one. This is generational warfare. This is bloodline redemption. This is the moment when cycles of poverty, abuse, abandonment, and loneliness get shattered forever in your family tree. The wealthy soulmate coming isn't just bringing their resources, they're bringing healing that will flow like a river through your lineage. Your children's children's children will benefit from the choice you make right now to believe, to receive, to step into this divine alignment. So I ask you, are you ready to be the ancestor your descendants will thank God for? Are you prepared to be remembered as the one who broke the chains, the one who said no more to generational limitation? Because once this connection manifests, there's no going back to the old patterns. Your family's story gets rewritten from this day forward. Your legacy shifts from surviving to thriving, from poverty to prosperity, from loneliness to divine love. If you want your lineage healed, if you're ready to be the generation that breaks every curse and releases every blessing, type generations in the comments right now. Because this blessing isn't just yours, it belongs to your entire bloodline. But the enemy knows his time is running out to stop this from happening. Chosen one, before we go any deeper into this prophetic word, I need to tell you something that's going to shake you to your very core. What I'm about to reveal will explain every heartbreak, every betrayal, every time you thought you found the one only to discover they were sent to destroy you. The enemy has been sabotaging your love life for decades. Look at me. Look at the screen right now. Do you remember that person who swept you off your feet, promised you the world, then vanished without explanation? Do you remember the one who love-bombed you for months, made you believe you were their everything, then slowly drained every ounce of joy from your soul? Do you remember lying awake at 3 a.m. wondering what was wrong with you, why you kept attracting the wrong people? Here's the shocking truth. Nothing was wrong with you. Everything was orchestrated against you. Satan saw the anointing on your life. He saw the wealth, the divine partnership, the relocation God had planned for you. And like a master counterfeiter, he flooded your life with fake relationships, false connections, and counterfeit love to make you doubt the real thing when it finally arrived. Think about Samson in Judges chapter 16. God had destined this man for greatness. He was called to deliver Israel, to walk in supernatural strength. But what did the enemy do? He sent Delilah, beautiful, seductive, convincing. She didn't come with horns and a pitchfork. She came with soft words and tender touches. She came looking exactly like what Samson thought he wanted. The devil's greatest weapon isn't temptation, it's imitation. Every toxic relationship you endured was hell's attempt to make you give up on love entirely. Every narcissist who made you question your sanity, every emotional vampire who drained your resources, every commitment phobe who dangled marriage like a carrot on a string for years, they weren't random encounters, chosen one. They were strategic attacks. The enemy studied your heart. He learned what you longed for. Then he sent person after person who looked like your answer but carried your destruction. Like counterfeit $100 bills mixed with real currency, they were designed to be so close to the real thing that you wouldn't know the difference until it was too late. But here's what Satan didn't count on. Your discernment was growing with each encounter. Every time you walked away from toxicity, you were building spiritual muscle. Every time you chose self-respect over settling, you were aligning with heaven's standard. Every time you refused to compromise your worth for companionship, you were qualifying yourself for the divine partnership God had already ordained. Remember what Jesus said in Matthew 7:20, "By their fruits you will know them." The counterfeit relationships bore bitter fruit: anxiety, depression, financial loss, isolation from your true friends and family. They pulled you away from your purpose. not toward it. They drained your bank account, not filled it. They made you smaller, not bigger. The fact that you're still here, still believing, still hoping after everything hell threw at you, that's not luck, that's divine protection. God allowed you to encounter the counterfeits so you would recognize authenticity when it arrived. He let you taste bitter water so you would appreciate the sweetness of the well He's prepared for you. Every almost relationship was boot camp, preparing you for the real thing. Think about this. Why do you think your last relationship ended right when it did? Why did that person suddenly show their true colors just before you were about to make a deeper commitment? Because heaven intervened. God said, "Not this one. This one is a decoy. The real one is coming." Even Judas had to betray Jesus before the resurrection could happen. The counterfeit always comes before the authentic. The test always precedes the blessing. But here's the part that should make you tremble with excitement. If the enemy fought this hard to stop your divine connection, imagine how powerful it's going to be when it finally arrives. Hell doesn't waste ammunition on insignificant targets. Satan doesn't deploy his best agents to block ordinary relationships. The intensity of the warfare you've experienced is directly proportional to the magnitude of the blessing God has in store for you. You survived the emotional warfare. You outlasted the mind games. You refused to settle when settling would have been easier. That wasn't just strong will, chosen one. That was the hand of the Almighty, protecting what belongs to you. The enemy sent the wrong ones to make you doubt the right one. He flooded your life with counterfeits to make you cynical about authentic love. But every fake you encountered was actually confirmation that the real thing exists and it's coming for you. If you've survived false love, if you've walked through the valley of counterfeit relationships and your faith in God's plan for your romantic life is still intact, type "no more counterfeits" in the comments right now. Because chosen one, the season of decoys is ending. The time of authentic, heaven-sent love is beginning. And everything the enemy meant for your destruction is about to become the foundation of your greatest testimony. But there's something else you need to know about this divine connection that's coming. Dear chosen one, something is shifting in the spiritual atmosphere around your life right now. Can you feel it? That unexplainable restlessness in your chest, that strange sense that invisible wheels are turning behind the scenes. You're not imagining it. Heaven is moving chess pieces you cannot see, positioning circumstances, orchestrating encounters, preparing pathways for what's about to manifest in your life. But here's what most people miss, and this could be why you've been confused, why you've wondered if God is really moving. The divine doesn't announce itself with trumpets and fanfare. It whispers through synchronicities. It speaks through signs that the spiritually blind will dismiss as coincidence, but your awakened spirit will recognize as confirmation. Have you been seeing the same numbers everywhere? 11, 11 on your clock when you weren't even looking for it. 777 on license plates, receipts, phone numbers. Listen carefully. These aren't random mathematical coincidences. These are heaven's breadcrumbs, divine GPS coordinates, guiding you toward your destiny. Numbers are the language God uses when words aren't enough. When you keep seeing triple digits, heaven is trying to get your attention, because something significant is approaching your timeline. And what about those dreams? Those vivid, almost prophetic dreams where you're walking with someone whose face you can't quite see, but whose presence feels like home. Dreams where you're in places you've never been, yet they feel familiar to your soul. Chosen one, that's not your subconscious playing tricks on you. That's your spirit, receiving previews of what's already been written in eternity's script. But here's where it gets deeper, more mysterious. You've been experiencing moments of déjà vu that seem too specific, too detailed to be mere brain glitches. You walk into a coffee shop and feel like you've had a conversation there that hasn't happened yet. You hear a song and your heart skips because it feels like a soundtrack to a memory you haven't made. That's not confusion, beloved. That's your spirit recognizing the frequency of your future. Now think about Gideon. A man so uncertain about God's voice that he needed not one, but two fleece confirmations. Judges 6:37 tells us, he said, "If you will save Israel by my hand as you have promised, look, I will place a wool fleece on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece and all the ground is dry, then I will know that you will save Israel by my hand." God didn't rebuke Gideon for needing confirmation. He provided it twice. Why? Because the Almighty knows that when He's about to shift your entire life trajectory, you need supernatural confirmation that what's happening is truly from Him. Remember Abraham in Genesis 18. 3 strangers approached his tent, and something in his spirit recognized divine visitation before his mind could process it. He didn't know they were angels, but his soul knew they carried something from heaven. He ran to meet them, bowed to the ground, and said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by." His spirit discerned what his eyes couldn't yet see. That same spiritual radar is activating in you right now. You're going to feel people before you meet them. You're going to sense divine appointments before they unfold. Your spirit is being fine-tuned to recognize heaven's frequency, and when your soulmate enters your atmosphere, every cell in your body will vibrate with recognition. But here's the sign that will arrest your attention more than any number sequence or dream: peace. Sudden, unexplainable peace that settles over your spirit like warm honey. You know that feeling when you've been carrying anxiety for months, and then one random Tuesday, for no logical reason, you wake up calm. That's not stress relief, chosen one. That's heaven whispering, "It's time." Isaiah 26:3 promises, "You will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you." When God is about to answer your deepest prayer, He first fills you with His peace, so you can receive it with clarity, not desperation. Have you felt that peace lately? That strange calmness in the middle of your storm? That unexpected confidence when nothing in your circumstances has changed? That's not denial or emotional numbness. That's divine preparation. God is settling your heart because He's about to give it everything it's been longing for. Think of it like a radio suddenly tuning into the perfect frequency. For months, maybe years, you've been getting static, confusing signals, mixed messages, unclear direction about your love life. But recently, hasn't the signal been getting clearer? Haven't you been feeling more discerning about who belongs in your space and who doesn't? Haven't you been sensing that something significant is approaching your timeline? You'll hear them in your spirit before you see them in the flesh. Not audibly, but spiritually. Their energy will call to yours across crowded rooms. Their heart will recognize yours before introductions are made. This isn't fantasy, beloved. This is how God works when He's orchestrating divine connections. 1 Samuel 16:7 reminds us, "The Lord does not look at the things people look at." People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Your heart will recognize theirs because both have been prepared by the same divine potter. Peace will be the passport that grants them access to your guarded heart. Discernment will be the stamp of approval your spirit gives. And in that moment of recognition, every doubt you've carried about God's timing will evaporate like morning mist. Your spirit will say, "This is it. This is what I've been waiting for. This is why nothing else worked out." If you've been experiencing these signs, the numbers, the dreams, the sudden peace, the growing discernment type confirmation, in the comments right now, because heaven isn't just whispering anymore. Heaven is preparing to speak with undeniable clarity. And when that moment comes, when you finally meet the one your soul has been seeking, you won't question whether they're from God. You'll know it the same way Abraham knew those strangers carried divine purpose. The same way Gideon knew his fleece had been touched by heaven. The same way your spirit knows right now that this message isn't coincidence. But recognizing the signs is only the beginning. Are you prepared for what happens when heaven's promise becomes flesh and blood standing before you? Chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. You think God is bringing you a soulmate just to fill the empty space at your dinner table. You think this divine connection is merely about having someone to hold hands with during Sunday service. number. What's coming is far more radical than that. God is about to relocate your entire existence. Not just your address, your identity, your atmosphere, your altitude. Look at your life right now. Really look. You've been faithful in Potterville for decades, haven't you? Serving in the same small circles, attending the same familiar church, shopping at the same grocery store where nobody truly sees you, living within the same 10-mile radius where your gifts have been contained, your voice has been muffled, and your calling has been politely ignored. But tell me this, when was the last time you felt truly at home where you are? When was the last time you walked into a room and felt like you belonged there? When was the last time your environment matched the magnitude of what God placed inside you? The truth is, you've been planted in soil that can't sustain what you're becoming. You've been a mighty oak trying to grow in a flower pot. Listen to Isaiah 43:19. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. Did you catch that? God isn't renovating your old thing. He's doing a new thing. Something that never existed before. Something that requires new territory. You know what's happening to eagles when they reach maturity? They go through something called molting. For 150 days, they lose their old feathers, their old talons, even their old beak. They become completely vulnerable. They can't hunt. They can't fly. They look broken, defeated, finished. But what appears to be death is actually rebirth. Because when those new feathers emerge, when those new talons grow, when that new beak forms, they can soar higher than they ever imagined. They can hunt prey they never could catch before. They can see horizons they never knew existed. Chosen one, you've been in your molting season. That isolation you felt, that stripping away of old relationships, old opportunities, old patterns, that wasn't God punishing you. That was God preparing you to fly at altitudes your old feathers could never handle. And this soulmate he's sending, they're not just coming to love you, they're coming to relocate you. Maybe it's literal. Maybe you'll find yourself packing boxes, leaving that small town that never quite fit, moving to a city where your gifts are celebrated instead of tolerated. Maybe you'll discover that this divine partner has connections in places you never dreamed of accessing. Doors that have been locked for 70 years suddenly swing wide open. But here's what will shock you even more. The relocation might not be about changing your zip code. It might be about changing your mindset, your identity, your understanding of what's possible for someone your age. You've been thinking like a senior citizen counting down to retirement. But God is about to relocate you into thinking like a general preparing for your greatest victory. You've been living like your best chapters are behind you, but heaven is about to relocate your perspective to see that you're just getting started. Think about Abraham. God didn't just move him from Ur to Canaan. God moved him from being a childless old man to being the father of nations. The relocation wasn't just geographical, it was generational. That's you, chosen one. You're not being moved to a different house. You're being moved into a different dimension of your destiny. This soulmate God is sending, they carry keys. Keys to rooms you didn't know existed. Keys to opportunities that have been waiting for your arrival. Keys to networks where your wisdom is desperately needed. Keys to platforms where your voice will finally be heard by those who have ears to hear. You think you're too old to start over? Moses was 80 when he got his burning bush moment. You think you've missed your chance? Sarah was 90 when she gave birth to nations. You think your season of influence has passed? Anna was 84 when she proclaimed the Messiah to all Jerusalem. But here's the urgency you need to understand. This divine relocation has a window. Kairos moments don't wait for you to feel ready. They require you to be available. God is asking you right now, are you willing to be uprooted from what feels safe so you can be replanted in your promised land? Are you ready to leave the familiar wilderness to enter the unfamiliar abundance? Are you prepared to say goodbye to the version of yourself that settled for less so you can say hello to the version that was created for more? Because this soulmate isn't just bringing love, they're bringing mobility, they're bringing elevation, they're bringing relocation into everything God always intended for your life. You are not being uprooted, chosen one. You are being replanted into your promised land. If you're ready for this divine relocation, if you're prepared to let God move you from where you've been to where you belong, declare it right now. Lord, move me where I belong. Because what's coming next will require you to believe that your greatest adventures are not behind you. They're about to begin in territory you never knew existed. Chosen one, stop for a moment. I need you to forget everything Hollywood has taught you about love. Forget the fairy tales. Forget the romance novels that painted relationships as emotional roller coasters. What God is bringing into your life transcends every shallow definition of partnership this world has ever offered. This is not about finding someone to cuddle with on Sunday afternoons. This is not about having a date to your nephew's wedding. This is not about filling the empty space in your bed or having someone to split the electric bill with. What's coming is a holy covenant. Do you hear that word? Covenant, not contract, not arrangement, not convenience. Covenant. The same sacred bond God made with Abraham, the same unbreakable promise he sealed with David, the same eternal commitment he established with you the moment he breathed life into your lungs. But here's what's going to challenge everything you think you know about relationships. This union isn't being orchestrated for your happiness. It's being designed for your assignment. Listen to what the wisest man who ever lived wrote in Ecclesiastes 4:12. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. 3 strands, beloved, not 2 people finding each other cute. Not 2 lonely hearts settling for companionship. 3 strands, you, your partner, and the Almighty God weaving himself into the very fabric of your connection. Why have your past relationships failed? Why did that marriage of 23 years crumble? Why did that person you thought was the one turn out to be just another lesson in disguise? Because they were 2-strand cords. Human effort trying to bind 2 broken people together. But human effort always frays. Human effort always snaps under pressure. The person God is sending carries something different. They don't come seeking to complete themselves through you. They come already whole, already healed, already walking in divine purpose. And when 2 complete people join together under God's authority, something supernatural happens. Something unbreakable forms. Picture this with me. 2 fortress walls standing independently, each one strong, each one fortified by years of testing and trials. But when they join at the corner, when they become part of the same structure, they don't just add their strength together, they multiply it. And God himself becomes the cornerstone that holds the entire fortress together. That's your next relationship, chosen one. Not a romantic comedy, a spiritual fortress. But let me ask you something that might cut deep. Are you ready for a love that demands your highest self? Are you prepared for someone who won't coddle your weaknesses, but will challenge you to walk in your full authority? Because this covenant partner isn't coming to enable your comfort zone. They're coming to expand your kingdom territory. You've grown comfortable with surface-level connections, haven't you? People who admire your smile, but never ask about your dreams. People who enjoy your company, but never understand your calling. People who love your cooking, but never see your vision for feeding the masses. This next person, they see the prophet in you. They recognize the leader you've been hiding. They discern the ministry that's been gestating in your spirit for decades. And instead of being intimidated by your anointing, they come equipped to protect it, provide for it, and help relocate you into environments where it can flourish. Do you remember Moses and Aaron, 2 brothers with 2 different gifts, but one shared mission? Aaron had the voice Moses lacked. Moses had the authority Aaron needed. Together, they became an unstoppable force that liberated an entire nation. That's the kind of partnership heaven is designing for you. But here's where most people stumble. They want the blessing without the responsibility. They want the covering without the commitment. They want the provision without the purpose. Let me shock you with truth. This covenant will cost you your selfishness. It will demand your surrender. It will require you to think beyond your personal needs and start considering generational impact. Because this union isn't just about you finding love. It's about love finding its way through you to transform communities, heal bloodlines, and demonstrate to a broken world what happens when two people choose to walk in divine alignment. The enemy has been terrified of this moment. He knows that when two anointed vessels join in holy covenant, they become exponentially dangerous to his kingdom. That's why he sent all those counterfeits. That's why he orchestrated all those heartbreaks. That's why he whispered all those lies about your worth, your age, your season being over. He was trying to prevent this moment when you would finally understand, this is not just marriage, this is mission. Your covenant partner is coming with resources, but more than that, they're coming with revelation. They see what God is building through your life, and they want to help build it. They understand that loving you means loving your calling. They know that protecting you means protecting your purpose. Are you ready for someone who prays over your dreams before you even share them? Someone who discerns when spiritual warfare is coming against your household and stands in the gap. Someone whose very presence brings clarity to confusion and peace to chaos. If your spirit is trembling right now, if something deep inside you is saying, yes, I'm ready for covenant, then type these 3 words in the comments. 3-strand cord. Because, beloved, your season of settling is over. Your time of 2-strand relationships has ended. God is weaving together something unbreakable, and when it arrives, you'll finally understand why nothing else ever worked out. But are you truly prepared for a love this sacred, this strategic, this eternally significant? Beloved chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred journey together, I need you to hold 3 eternal truths close to your heart. First, remember this. Your season of waiting was never wasted time. Every tear you shed in solitude, every night you wondered if love had forgotten your address, every moment you felt invisible, it was all preparation. God was refining your heart, deepening your faith, and positioning you to receive a love so pure, so purposeful, that it required this exact season of preparation to make you ready. Second, understand that the covenant partner coming your way is not just about romance. This is about divine assignment. You are stepping into a 3-strand cord that will withstand every storm, every test, every attack the enemy tries to launch. This union will be your fortress, your ministry platform, and your launching pad into the greatest chapter of your life. Third, never forget that God's timing is never early, and it's never late. It is always precisely perfect. What feels like delay to your human heart is divine strategy to heaven's plan. You are not behind schedule. You are right on time for a miracle that will leave you breathless with gratitude. But I want you to know something deeper than knowledge. You are not walking this path alone. The God who created the stars and calls them each by name is the same God who knows your name, who sees your heart, who hears your prayers. He has not forgotten you, dear one. Even now, as you listen to these words, He is orchestrating divine appointments, opening supernatural doors, and positioning your covenant partner to find you at exactly the right moment. And beyond God's faithfulness, you have a community right here. Look at these comments flowing in thousands of hearts, beating in unity, all believing for the same miracle of divine love. We are your spiritual family, your prayer warriors, your witnesses to the goodness God is about to display in your life. You belong here. Your story matters here. Your victory will be our celebration. Let me ask you this final question, and let it settle deep in your spirit. Are you ready to stop living like someone who is forgotten and start living like someone who is about to be found? Now, let me place my hand on your shoulder through these words and pray over your life with the authority of 5 decades walking with the Almighty. Heavenly Father, I come before your throne carrying every precious soul who has opened their heart to this message. Lord, you see them, not just their loneliness, but their faithfulness, not just their tears, but their trust. You know their names, their stories, their secret prayers whispered in the darkness. Father, I pray that you would breathe fresh hope into their weary souls tonight. Where they feel forgotten, remind them they are treasured. Where they feel overlooked, show them they are positioned. Where they feel too old or too late, whisper that their finest hour is still ahead. God, release their covenant partner now, across the miles, across the years, across every obstacle the enemy has placed. Connect their hearts in divine timing. Give them both the wisdom to recognize each other, the courage to trust again, and the faith to build something eternal together. Protect their union from the very beginning. Shield it from doubt. Guard it from fear. Cover it with your presence. Let their love be a testimony to this generation that you still write perfect love stories for those who wait on you. Bless their finances, Father. Open doors of provision and opportunity. Heal their bodies and strengthen their spirits. Surround them with favor and divine connections. And most of all, let them feel your presence so strongly that they never doubt again that they are loved beyond measure. In the mighty name of Jesus, who loved us first and loves us best, I seal this prayer. Let your will be done in their lives. Amen. Now, I want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments what stirred in your heart during this message. What is God speaking to you about your season of preparation? Don't hold back. Share your testimony, ask for prayer. Let this community surround you with love and intercession. And if this word has touched your soul, please share it with someone who needs to hear that they are not forgotten. There's someone in your life right now, a friend, a family member, someone at church who is walking through the same wilderness of waiting. They need to know they're not alone. They need to hear that their covenant partner is coming. Before you go, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. This isn't just a YouTube channel. This is a sanctuary for the chosen ones, a place where faith is strengthened and destinies are awakened. Every week, we gather here to remind each other that God's promises never fail and His timing is always perfect. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for letting these words penetrate the sacred chambers of your soul. Thank you for believing that your greatest love story is still being written by the hand of the author who never writes incomplete endings. Your covenant partner is on their way, beloved. Keep your heart prepared, your faith strong, and your eyes open. The wait is almost over. Until we meet again, walk in the confidence of who you are chosen, beloved, and about to be found. God bless you richly, dear one. Your miracle is coming.